So I've been getting a lot of messages as of late from guys that have been asking me, hey, Harry, how do I reconnect with an ex, whether it was me that got rid of them or they stopped talking to me? I want to be able to reach out again and be able to start things up and hopefully lead it towards a romantic conclusion. And so I've typically been of the thought that I tend to try to steer clear of really trying to get back with exes because overall, for the most part, more often than not, if it broke up, whether you broke up with her or she broke up with you, then there's a good chance that getting back together isn't necessarily going to make those issues go away. Like you could reach out to her. Let's say you broke up with her, you reach out to her and you try to reconnect like, hey, we should get back together, blah, 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 blah. Well, if you broke up with her for a specific reason, or maybe a habit that she had or whatever, chances are those things are going to still be there. Or maybe she was the one that broke up with you and you're thinking, okay, I got a shot. I'm going to reach out to her and hopefully maybe she'll have changed her mind about how she felt about me and we can keep going forth. But then the question arises, have you gotten rid of the things that were maybe annoying her about you? Or are you at a point in your life now where more often than not, women are usually getting rid of guys because they're appearing too needy or desperate or wanting all their attention. So the question is, can you now be that guy? And so I want to answer these guys' questions in particular because I like answering your guys' questions and the show is ultimately about you guys. So we're going to talk about how it is that you reach out to an ex. These are going to be the do's and don'ts based on these guys' messages. Plus, I'll be answering your guys' questions in the chat live. So feel free to welcome yourselves to another wonderful episode of the Introvert Dating Success Show.
It's the Introvert Dating Success Podcast, the show for introverted men that's all about learning how to attract beautiful women and still get your precious alone time. And now, here's your host, dating coach and fellow introvert, Harry Wilmington.
And as always, guys, this wonderful show is brought to you by the Introvert Dating Success Coaching Program, which is available at introvertdatingsuccess.com. If you are a guy that has been struggling with the ins and outs of how to actually go about attracting women and getting them into relationships, and more importantly, if you're a guy that maybe realizes that he has some struggles that he's not able to handle on his own. You know, maybe you're very anxious around women, you're nervous, you have low self-esteem, you don't know what things to say or what to do, and it's causing you to not put yourself out there, then my coaching program will help you with that. It is a 12-week program that is designed to take you by the hand and finally give you some insights into how women actually work, help you to build up your self-esteem, remove anxiety, and be able to have a field-tested blueprint to be able to meet women, attract them, and get them into relationships. If that's something that you're struggling with and you'd like my help, you can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com, check out the program. You can also check out the one-on-one coaching options that's also available, as well as some of my books there that are all designed to help you out. All right. So with that said, let's go ahead and dive into the show because I have some messages and comments that I got over the past week that I really want to answer. And funny enough, all of them deal with like this issue of the guy wants to reach out to somebody, a former friend they had a crush on, a former ex, or former person they were talking to that maybe wasn't going down the path that they wanted. So they decided to get rid of them and want them back. But all this speaks to, for some women that you meet and have, a good interaction with, maybe there's going to be a point where you guys disband for a little bit. And now you're thinking, okay, I actually want her back in my sphere, but how do I reach out to her? What do I say? What do I do? What can I do to make sure that I'm not going to mess this up? And so I want to speak to that by using these 3 messages that were written to me. So let's get into it. So the first one, this guy wrote a comment in response to one of my videos. I forget which one, but his comment says, I really effed up. I definitely acted like a needy little bi. Of course, she pulled away. Didn't respond to a voice memo, but would continue to watch my status updates on WhatsApp. I know I displayed traits out of character. Well, I mean, honestly, they were in your character. The fact that you did them means that you're capable of doing them. But I get it. This is one of those things that people try to do when they try to disassociate their actions with how they think they are. Because we all view ourselves through a particular lens. We are all the heroes in our own story. And so when we do something that doesn't fit that narrative, what we say to ourselves is, oh, well, that's not normally me, but that is a part of you that's there. And I'm imagining this is not the first time that this guy has probably acted like this with a woman that he liked, where he tried to call her or text her and she wasn't responding. And so one of the things that's important really for anybody, but particularly for you, Guy, is that you have to start looking at yourself honestly and seeing and recognizing how you really, truly are. Not just at the times when you're a positive person, but also times when you're negative. If there are times when you get jealous, if there's times when you get anxious or nervous, or you get apprehensive, or sometimes you might be the person that occasionally yells at somebody, you can't do that and then be like, oh, but that's not in my character. The reality is it's there. And that just speaks to, if you start to realize that those things are there, then it's better to recognize them so you can work on them than to deny them and assume it never happens. And then it just keeps on happening, you know? And so that's, as a guy, you got to take self-responsibility for the things you're doing. If you are doing actions like this guy says, then you have to know that you're capable of that. And if you don't want that to happen in the future, what things do you need to do? What kind of habits do you need to put in place? Or in what way do you need to work on yourself and your self-esteem to where you're not doing these kind of actions? Because these are the actions of a guy that is acting in desperation. Spoiler, guys, a lot of you guys out there are desperate. And when you're desperate, you're going to do moves like this that are going to push women away even further. Hey, and I'm not just talking to you. I'm speaking to the choir. I have been this way before, where it's like, I text her and she didn't text me back. I got to double text and triple text. I got to ask her what's wrong. I got to see why it is that she's treating me this way all of a sudden. And I had to look at that. Like, okay, why do I feel the need to do that? I went on 3 dates with this girl, and now all of a sudden I'm trying to get her in my good graces. But like, in the grand scheme of things, it was like 3 dates. It was 6 hours. Why am I so obsessed? What is it about the situation that's making me feel that like I have to have her, and I have to bug her, and I have to send all these messages? And you got to look at that in order to start realizing that maybe there are some things about yourself in terms of how you feel about yourself and how you go about in the world that need to be worked on, so that way you will not be so desperate and you will not do desperate actions. Because even if you don't think you're a desperate person, if you're doing actions of a desperate person, then you are becoming that desperate person that you're not trying to be. But anyway, so then he continues on. So he said he did this stuff that's out of character. He said, but it's been 3 or 4 days and nada, like she hasn't responded back. He says, I have just been trying to focus on me, hitting the gym, but I feel so upset at myself for allowing this to happen. Should I send lighthearted messages or just continue to give her space? All right, so here's the reality, all right, is that the phone works both ways. And when you're reaching out to women, they also know how texting works, because aside from texting you, she's texting friends, family, other people she's potentially interested in, work, people at work, yada, yada. We all know how texting works. You send a message and then she sends one back. This is the way texting has been working since it got created back in the late 90s. So if she's not responding back to a text that you already sent, what makes you think that sending more text is going to be the answer? Okay. So when women give you space like this is an indicator to you that she wants that space for whatever reason. And at the point that she decides she doesn't need that space anymore, she'll reach out. Sometimes it'll be 3 or 4 days. Sometimes it'll be a week. Sometimes it'll be 3 months to 6 months before a woman that you were once interested in decides to reach back out. The point is this: she will reach back out at whatever time her brain has realized, okay, this guy's no longer stressing me out, I can reach out to him. But if you look at how this guy was saying he was acting, right? He was being desperate. He was being a needy little bee. So it's no wonder that she pulled away. And so here's how the pull away test in essence works, right? Is that when you're showing enough of these behaviors, a woman's brain is going to just naturally say, okay, I'm now overloaded with this guy. And because she's not at the point where that's her decision. Like right now, it's not her decision to spend all this time with you, which means in her head, you are forcing the decision to spend time with you onto her versus it being her choice. Women don't like feeling as though being with you is not a choice, but a have to. And so what will happen with what happened in this situation is a woman will start feeling like, okay, you're being there too much, and she'll pull away just ever so slightly in an attempt to be able to get her feelings levels for you back to the way that they should be for where she's at the point in the dating cycle, to be able to make things feel like normal. And what most guys do when a woman starts to pull away is they think, oh no, she's pulling away. I need to go in there and negotiate and ask her for more of her time. And so that now makes it go from like feeling level for her to like, uh-oh, he's trying to increase his presence. Oh no, he's doing more. Oh no, he's still. And so that's what makes women pull away. So when I talk about the pull away test, I keep saying to you guys, the test is not she's purposely pulling away. The test is actually a test of wills for you, because you're the one that's going to be feeling all these strenuous things when she starts to pull away. But to her pulling away is just a natural thing that she's trying to do to reset her levels, to make sure that the level of like she has for you is the same level that you have for her. When yours goes overboard, that's when most women will start to pull away. That's why I tell you guys, don't do things like overtext or tell her all your feelings, because we don't want to be giving women an overwhelm of your presence early on. We want your presence to be there just enough to where you cut it at the last minute and you leave, and now she anticipates seeing you, which means she has to come to you in order to get more of your attention. If you find that you're going more to her, then I got news for you guys. Things are off balance. And also, spoiler, I know this fights against the narrative that, you know, attraction and dating, it should be 50-50 energy. It should not. Like, it should be 1/3. You are showing up 25% to her 75%. Why? Because women feel things 3 times more. Your 25% is going to feel like her 75%. But here's the thing, right? Is that guys hear this thing and think like, okay, I got to employ the same exact amount of effort because that's what women want. And they're not telling you the full story. They want to feel as though you're giving the same effort, but your 25% of effort will feel like 75 to her. So yes, if it starts to feel like more, she's going to pull away to bounce back to where you actually are showing less effort. I have found it became immensely easier to date when I realized all I have to do is make pinpointed moves at the right time and take her out here, but don't pay attention to her here, whatever. But I can actually do less work and be more successful with women. And I found that by doing less work, but doing the right work at the right time would result in the woman's attraction for me getting a lot higher quicker. All right. So that's how you went over this thing. So yeah, this idea of you need to reach out to her even more or send her some lighthearted messages like, ha ha ha, I just want to see, I have a joke and here's a meme and here's a video. Like, none of that stuff is going to actually help. This is a generality. So at times with some women, it could possibly work, but I have found as a generality, the probability of you sending more messages to get her to want to talk to you is a lot lower. All right. So then what do you do in this case? Well, for one, if you're going to send a message at all, you pinpoint when you're going to do it. So we're not going to be trying to send sporadic messages every single day to this woman in hopes that she eventually responds to one with an emoji or a smile. I'm all over in general, just like using texting as a barometer for like, oh, she texts me back, she must like me again, because guys will get tripped up. They'll think, oh, she finally responded back to me, so now I can like overwhelm her again with text. Get off the phone. Seriously, guys, get off the phones. If you're going to reach out to women, do phone calls, or if you're going to text them, only text them to get dates, which leads to my next thing, right? So it's been 3 or 4 days. Here's what I recommend for when a woman pulls away from you and is not responding. You wait exactly 1 week. That is 7 days from the last time that you text her. And after that 7 days, because we want to see if within that time she reaches out to you. A lot of guys, the problem is simply they don't give women the space to reach out to them. And so we're going to test that. So you give her a full 7 days where you do not talk to her. If on that 7th day she has not texted you yet, you reach out to her one last time. Because, and I say this because I'm at the age of this point where it's like, if I reach out to a girl and she doesn't respond back, I'm done. Because I already know women that are interested will contact me. So if I'm asking her out for something and she doesn't respond, I know what it is. I move on to somebody else. But I need you, guy who is not experienced all that way with this stuff, to start to get in your head the idea that if you're reaching out and you're offering to take a woman out for a good time and her response is nothing, that should tell you a lot about where her interest is. And ideally, you'll get it that this woman is not interested in you and you'll move on. So I say this, you reach out one more time after 7 days and ask her for a date. Just simply say, so, and don't even ask, don't form it as a question. I always tell you guys, form your dating request as statements. So you reach out to her and say, hey, was thinking about checking out this restaurant, would love to take you. Let me know if you're free. And then you say, I'm free this time or this time. Let me know if you're free, right? And that's it. You send that one text to ask her out on a date, whether it's a dinner date, whether it's a picnic date, a walking date, whatever it is, one more time. You send that one text and that's it. If she responds to it and says, yes, let's do it, fantastic. Go back dating her and stop over texting her. If she doesn't respond, then that's it. You're done. You know what it is. And at that point, you give yourself the present of moving on out of the situation, because a woman that is not responding to you, that lets you know emphatically that she is in fact not trying to take up any more of your time. And at that point, if she doesn't respond, understand women are really going to come back to you and say, hey, thanks for the invite, but no, or thanks for the invite, but I think we're better. Like some women will give you the let's just be friends speech, but most women I find are probably going to ignore you. So just understand, no response back is a no. Know what it is. Again, this is how they communicate. Don't be butthurt by it. Just know what it is and move on to the next person, okay? But yeah, don't do this whole, I'm going to send her 3 or 4 lighthearted messages crap, because think about this, right? While you're thinking about what you should message her to contact her, has she contacted you? Is she over there thinking about, oh, I need to get back in his good graces. What message can I send him? She's not. And then I guarantee you almost, if you let this alone for like 2 weeks, let's say she did reach out to you, right? The first thing she'd write is, hi, or hey. Like, she's going to put no thought into what she's responding you back. But suffice to say, guy, you're spending all this energy trying to think of how to talk to her, to get her, without thinking about, but what is she going to do to get me back in her good graces? She ignored me for 4 days. She owes me a really good text. Guys don't ever think about that, right? Like, these women you're taking these women out to show them a good time, to give them the best of yourself, to make sure that they're having, they're feeling safe and secure on these dates, and they're going to ignore you. And then your response to that is, I got to do better. You're trying to respond to a girl that's not even giving you the courtesy to say she's not interested anymore. So I wouldn't be thinking that hard about it. And then, and I found too in my life, at the times I've just learned okay, let's say I reach out to a girl and she's not responding back, I'll leave it alone. 2 or 3 weeks later, hey, Harry, what's going on? What are you doing today? Like, sometimes women just need that space, and that's what guys don't get. But that speaks to the fact that a lot of guys, as well-meaning as they are and as successful as they are in other parts of their lives, they don't have women figured out. They don't have communication figured out, and they don't have the dating processes of what women go through understood enough to where they know the moves to make and not make. And that's why I have my program, the Introvert Dating Success Coaching Program, which actually teaches you about many of these things, so you'll know where a woman's head is at any given moment in the dating process, and you'll know how to respond, how to react, what things to say, what not to do. And we give you the understanding of women, so you'll be more confident that when you're making moves, or let's say you're not hearing from her for a certain reason, that you'll know you're still in the running and that you're still making the right moves, even if you're unsure at times. So again, check that program out at introvertdatingsuccess.com. I would love to help coach you to be more efficient with women and dating in general. So hopefully, guy, that helps you out. All right, so let's see what let me pull up real quick here. Okay, great. And like I said, guys, this show is ultimately about you. So if you guys have any questions or comments you want to ask during the course of the show, I would love to be able to answer your question, because I charge a lot for coaching at my site. So you're getting it free now while you're on this particular show. So anyway, let's get on to the next question that I got as it pertains to reaching out to an ex. So I got a question from a guy. He's a younger guy, and he asked me a question, and he said, hey, I don't know if you remember, but on Tuesdays, so this would have been this previous Tuesday show, he said, I asked you what you would do if you were me and you were trying to get my ex back, and you said, ask her out, but don't be surprised if she says no. Just like I told the last guy. Like, all you can do at that point is just ask. The worst you can say is she'll either say nothing, or she'll say, hey, that's great, but I got other things going on. I'm busy. Excuses women give to me. I don't want to see you. It is what it is. It's fine. So anyway, he said, I said some super, super corny stuff the last time we talked, when I told her that I would always miss her and how she would, quote, shine like gold in my memories. I'm really trying not to laugh right now, but I've written stuff similar to this. I've written women poetry. I've written women things like these, like, I wish you would care for me because I think blah, 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 blah. Like we all early on, guys, we think that this flowery language we're going to use to women is going to touch their souls and make them realize that they're making a mistake and change their mind. I will give you the lifetime spoiler, guys. Writing women words of poetry and whimsy that have feminine language, it does not make them see you as any more masculine. So just do yourself a favor and save those loving, kind word poems for women that you're either actually dating or that you're already in a relationship with, because the women that are trying to give you the friend speech or just only see you as a friend, you writing them flowery words is not going to work like in the movies where it's like, oh, he was my friend, but then he wrote this love poem and this love note, and all of a sudden I realized, oh, wow, his heart is so inspiring. I love him now too. It doesn't work like that. But we get fooled by TV and songs. I get it. Been there, done that, wrote a book about it. Literally, check the website. So then he says, he wrote that she would shine like gold in my memories, and I'm worried because she's going to open my message and see that stuff right above it. The last time we talked was a year ago when I told her to block me to help me move on, and she didn't. So I told her I wouldn't wait forever, and I had to block her. And that's when I said the corny stuff. I'll be honest, guy, like the stuff before that, like stuff you just said that you told her was also corny. Like, here's the thing. I get it as guys, because guys we're very literal and we're very direct. And so when you're early on in your dating phases, it's very, very annoying to feel as though a woman's trying to say one thing or do one thing, but is actually saying or doing another thing. So that's like women who say like, oh, I really want to see you, but then they never show up. As guys would be like, but if you wanted to see me, then you would show up with a date. And why don't you just blah, blah, blah and tell me what's going on? This is why I tell you guys, you need to look at women's actions, because their actions will tell you the whole story. If a woman's saying, oh, I really have to go out with you, and then she flakes, you don't need her to confirm that she flaked. You don't need her to confirm that she doesn't have feelings. She didn't show up for the date, so that should let you know she wasn't actually feeling all the things that she said she did. Because, and I can tell you from a 42-year-old's perspective, any woman that has ever liked me has always shown up for dates and has always over-texted me. Why? Because they're going to put their good foot forward and do things to indicate to me that they're actually coming after me. And if they're chasing you, they can't be replacing you. So suffice to say, never do this again. Never, ever. If a woman starts acting flaky or weird on you, don't feel like you have to have the conversation of, oh, so I noticed that your texting is less. Do you like me less? Or I noticed that you were going to show up for this thing and then you flake last minute. Does this mean you? Yes, it means that. It exactly means that. And the sooner you get that as a guy, the less butthurt you'll get by it, because instead of having to wait for a conversation with her to tell you the truth, which most women are not going to do, you'll just be like, oh, okay, silly me. I remember one time, many years ago, I was doing online dating, and I met this woman online, and we met up in person for a date. First date, we went to like this fish spot, we ate some food, and as far as I know, we had a great conversation. It looked like she was having a good time. At the end of that, she said, oh, I want to see you again. I said, okay, great, we'll set something up. Which again, I don't ever project out those things. I never say to a woman at the end of a date, hey, let's see each other sometime. But in this case, she said it. So I was like, okay, I'll find something else to do. So a week later, hit her up, said, hey, let's go meet up at, there was a bar that was going to be having what we call here in LA, it's a mingle and play night. They bring these board games and Nintendos and stuff to a bar. And then you can play all this stuff inside a bar with other people. It's really, really fun. And she said, great, let's do it. So I remember like on the way there, I texted her, said, hey, I'm like halfway there. I'll see you there soon. She's like, okay, great. I get to the bar. She never shows up. And so I texted her one good time, like, hey, I'm here. Let me know when you get here. Crickets. Never heard from her. Now, let's be fair. We don't know what happened. She could have just decided she didn't want to go on the date. Her ex could have come over and, banged her brains out. Or she could have like been driving there and got in a car accident and died. I do not know. All I know is that I didn't get a text from her anymore after that. I didn't hear from her anymore after that. And so I stayed at the bar for another hour. I met some other women that were there. We played some games in the bar. And then I went home. And I was just like, okay, well, that was kind of, assuming she's not dead, that was crappy behavior. But all right, on to the next. Like, it really is a thing where it's like, I'm not taking any of that stuff personally, But suffice to say, what I did not do is send her a bunch of texts. How could you let me get to the bar and be by myself? And you should, if you didn't want to see me, like, what is that going to do? She knows the action she did, and she's doing it on purpose. So there's no need to call an adult on crappy behavior. And there are some guys that actually disagree with me. There have been guys in my comments that have said, like, well, I feel the need to call her out because she needs to know what? For the next guy not to do this stuff that she did to you. I got news for you, guy. Any guy that she has high interest in, she's not going to do the stuff that she did to you because she likes that guy enough to want to impress him versus chase him away. But she will do that to guys that she's wishy-washy to, has low interest in. So that's just news going forward, guy. All that to say, yeah, don't be trying to tell girls, yeah, well, I need you to block me because I'm not going to be able to handle it. That gives off feminine energy. Like, you can't handle a girl not talking to you. You can't handle being able to go on your thing and then she's still there. So you're going to reach out to her. Hey, could you please block me because seeing you is just like, don't do that. All right. I'm not trying to be too hard on you, guy. But like, again, I've been that guy. This behavior does not look good coming from guys. So I had to learn it the hard way. You're younger, so ideally you're learning it now. Anyway, so then he says, how do I message her and get it to a place where she's comfortable saying yes? Or how should I best go about it? It's also worth mentioning that I look a lot better since then too, and I'm more masculine, if that makes a difference. But most importantly, how do I deal with the cringy and emotional stuff that would be right above my new message? So I'm going to answer this. I'm going to answer that question. But first, I do want to highlight real quick the fact that you're even saying, how do I message her? And how do I get it to where she's going to say yes to me? And how should I get her to talk to me again? That's still all screaming feminine energy, because it's actions of a guy that it appears as though has no other options. Now, I'm imagining you probably do have other options. It doesn't matter what your actual life is. It matters what are you projecting to women. And so just the fact that you're going in with this feeling tone, she's going to already get the feeling that you're desperate and have no other options. Otherwise, why would you be reaching out to your ex is going to be the thought that she has, And so I want you to know that if you've been working on yourself, if you've been working out in the gym and getting better, that's great. You can now go to new women who don't have a previous bad image of you and hit on them and start from a new positioning whereby it's like, okay, going forward, you messed up with this previous girl doing all these other things. So you now know what? For one, not to text. I tell guys this is as a general rule, and I talk about this also in my book, Texting Like a Boss, which you can get at the website as well, under the products tab. But in that book, I talk about how this is why you don't send fights or arguments through text, because inevitably, once you start having good feelings about that person again and you want to reach out to them, they're going to look at their phone and see all the negative crap you said about them in a previous fight. And we don't want there to be a digital paper trail of any kind of negative messages, fighting messages, or sent messages that you may have sent this woman in the process of dating her. This is why I tell you guys, if you feel like, let's say you guys are having a conversation on text and she starts going in that direction that starts to feel like it might be a fight, you better either pick up the phone or go see her in person and have that conversation, because it's going to be better to do that than to have it on digital that you were once simping or once crying or once spilling out your heart full of emotions. If it's not there, there's no evidence. So leave all the heavy conversations to outside of text. But anyway, so with all of that said, how do you handle this? And here's my honest answer. Because again, I've been in their shoes, guy. I've had to do this before. I've had to reach out to people I previously dated, and I'm looking at the previous thing I sent them and like, oh, they're going to see that right below the thing. What do I do? So I'm imagining if this isn't true, then this isn't going to work. But I imagine you probably messaged this girl through any number of means, whether it was, I don't know if you guys still use Facebook, Instagram, TikTok, if you got just text messaging, WhatsApp, whatever, right? But I'll say this. Whatever messaging platform you use to send that cringy, super corny message, don't text her on that platform. Like if you send it through an actual text, then send her a message through Facebook or send a message through Instagram. Or if you manage to see this woman, whether it's like you see her in passing or you see her in public or you see her in amongst a group of friends, then try to figure out a way where you can just see her in person just by happenstance. Like don't stalk her. Okay, don't stalk her, but like if you guys have some of the same, meetups together or whatever, then, or if you guys eat at the same place from time to time and you happen to walk by her table, then that could be a situation where you could just happen to pass by and say, oh, hey, so-and-so, what's going on? Or what's up with you? Or what's been going on? And do what women do. Act like nothing happened. Act like you didn't send any corny messages. You didn't get in any fights. Just go up to her and be like, hey, what's up? What's going on? Whatever, right? If you're going to go the phone route and you've already texted her, I would say maybe doing an accidental butt dial or just a regular phone call like, hey, I wanted to ask you something real quick, blah, blah, blah. But like, yeah, don't reach out to her via text on the platform that you did the courting texting on. If you only did it through one platform, then I don't know what to tell you. You're out of luck at that point. At best, you could probably go on her social media and maybe like some of her pictures to know that you can get her noticing you again. But also ask yourself, why are you trying to reach out to her? Like, if you're reaching out thinking that this is going to eventually lead towards potentially being a relationship, I would say go for it. If you're just trying to get it to be a friendship or whatnot, I would say let it happen just naturally where you meet up with her. But really, again, I stress, there are more women in the world than this one that you got rid of. Like, either you got rid of her or you were saying some corny stuff and you said that you would always miss her and then please block, blah, blah, blah. Like, I'm at the point where, like, if you're saying that kind of stuff, then for whatever reason, that means that you guys just weren't meant to be together. And I stress, this is where guys have like blinders on and they really think like, if I don't get this girl, and I used to think the same way. In my teen years, in my 20 years, the girl that was in front of me is the one I absolutely have to have. And that's not my life now. My life now is like, I live in a headspace that is full of abundance. So the person that I'm with, if I'm with them, I'm enjoying them. I hope and pray it's going to work out. But on the off chance it doesn't, if they decide to go with somebody else, if they happen to dial me, I'm not the person that's like, oh, they went away, I can find nobody else. I'm just like, that sucks. I wish I could have been with them longer, but it's not going to be. And so I need to move on. And I'll take my time to like grieve that loss, whether it's, again, whether I dumped them, they dumped me, they died, whatever. I'm going to give myself the time to grieve that person and their presence in my life. And then I'm going to move on to somebody else, because while you're trying to focus on this one girl, there are probably 5 or 6 other girls that you're not aware of that are looking at you right now and thinking, if only he would talk to me. But you're so focused on this one girl that you're going to give her all your energy versus the 4 or 5 you could be trying to go after right now that would be more prone to date you. So I just want you to have an overall more abundant mindset as it pertains to women. Yes, it'd be great if the woman that you actually want right now, you could be with her, but that's not going to be the reality of life. There's going to be bunch of circumstances. There were, for example, for me, there were a bunch of women that I would have loved to have been with and dated, and they all expressed that they wanted kids, and I didn't. So as much as I would want to be with those women, the reality was, in looking at a long-term situation, it wasn't going to work out. There were going to be complications down the road that were going to cause us to clash. And so you got to start looking at that now. You can't look at in the moment, I want this girl because she's pretty and I can hook up with her and all this other stuff. You have to look at in the long term. Could I realistically see me and this girl dating, being together for a decent amount of time? And if you really are honest with yourself and look at, do I actually see this being long-term or just short-term? And you're seeing that it's more of a short-term, I would consider not wasting your time and going after other girls that you might gel with a lot longer, and that would be willing to actually date you versus you having to try to fight. That's the thing. Men make their dating lives hard by trying to fight to get a woman to like them. And I keep trying to stress to you guys, women that like you, you don't have to fight. But that also speaks to, you have to be the kind of man that a woman's going to want. And so some of you guys just haven't built or developed yourselves yet into the kind of man that a bunch of women are going to want. Sorry to say, as a younger guy, that's going to be a lot harder than an older guy. But even older guys that are like 30, 40, 50, that have gotten all the successes in the world, still struggle with knowing how to show up in the right way for a woman. They know how to show up for a job and how to show up right for their goals. But in terms of showing up for women, it is a different skill set. And so you can't be mad at yourself for not having a skill set. You just got to learn the skills and the mindset you got to have in order to properly attract women and project yourself in a way that other women see desirable. That's why I have a program, the Introvert Dating Success Coaching Program, where you can get 12 weeks of coaching from yours truly to figure out the ins and outs of what's going to be effective for you as a dater to get women, and then give you a blueprint that's going to help you out along the way. You can check that program out at introvertdatingsuccess.com. But hopefully, Guy, this answers your question. All right. So I believe we have one more message to answer here. And again, guys, if you guys have any questions you want to ask me during the course of this live, you can leave it in the chat. Otherwise, once I finish the last question, then I'll be out of here. So let's get into the third message that I got. Oh, and by the way, a lot of these questions in terms of reconnecting with an ex, I answer these questions extensively in my book at my website called 10 Steps to Winning Back Your Ex. It is the step-by-step, no-nonsense guide to reconnecting with an old flame, regardless of whether you or her broke up the relationship. This book has helped a lot of people be able to figure out what they did wrong. And I give you guys in this book a blueprint, step-by-step pathway to actually reconnecting with your ex in a way that ideally will keep it going longer than it did the first time. So you can check that book out at the website. All right, so let's get into this guy's question. So this guy actually wrote me and he said, hi, Harry, huge fan of your content. I would like your advice on something. A girl whom I haven't spoken to in 8 years randomly hits me up via Instagram. She said something around the lines of, quote, "It's been a minute since we spoke. Can we chat?" etc. Last time I checked, she had a boyfriend. I checked her Instagram to confirm, and it appears she may be single. Awesome. To provide more context to our previous relationship, we were friends that flirted a lot, but nothing really came out of it. We stopped talking because we kind of drifted apart due to life. Understandable. Only kept in contact via social media likes and comments. Can you please let me know what this means? Is she interested in pursuing something more? Is she just using me for attention, etc.? Thank you. So thank you for the question. So I'll start off by saying this, because at the end he says, can you please let me know what this means? Here's my thing, right? Is that this is where a lot of guys will get themselves in trouble because let's say, so the woman reaches out, right? The guy starts thinking, she's reaching out to me. What does this mean? Does she want a relationship? Does she want a blah, blah, blah? And I need you to put less stress on how heavy of a meaning this action actually has, because the reality is you haven't talked to her yet. You know, so you might be thinking, is she reaching out because she likes me? She wants a relationship. She wants this and that. But that is putting the cart before the horse because there's been no conversations had. You don't actually know where she's at in life right now. And so for all we know, this is just an inquiry from a girl. But I will say, so with that said, I will say this, is that the fact that you said you guys were friends and you guys flirted a lot, what that reads to me as is back in the day when you guys were flirting with each other, you guys didn't end up getting together because you didn't make a move. Even if a woman is being highly flirty with you, women are still looking to be chosen and they want to feel as though the guy is going to choose her to make the moves on to then get into a dating scenario. So all those times that she was flirting, hey, I know back in the day when I was starting to get flirted with girls, I was just so surprised that a girl was cool just to flirt with me. I didn't even consider that like, oh, she might actually like me. She might actually want to date me. I've had to have women friends of mine tell me later on that women that they knew at my school, for example, actually had crushes on me. And I was going to their dorms every day, had no idea they liked me. I was just this weird acting 18, 19-year-old kid, had no idea that these girls saying certain things to me or touching me in certain ways indicated that they actually liked me, especially because I was telling all the girls I knew that I was a virgin. So it's beyond me, right? But suffice to say, so yeah, you were probably getting flirted with because she probably felt some things for you and was waiting for you to make a move and you didn't. And she was like, well, you know, I guess it's cool being a friend because unless he makes a move someday or whatever, right? So the fact that she's reaching out to you now, I would say this, those are very positive signals. At the very least, they mean that she has positive memories of you and wants to reconnect. Now, I only need you to think that far about it. I don't need you to think about, but does this mean she likes me? Does this mean she wants something more from me? Is she just using me for attention? Get all those thoughts out of your head because no conversation has been had yet. Here's the thing. I used to be a guy just like you that would project into the future. Oh, she's doing this action now. So does this mean we're going to have kids in the future? Don't do that. You're going to end up not making moves on people that you need to be making moves on because you're going to be trying to think to the end game of this before any other steps have been made. So what I tell you is this, is that take everything that you're thinking right now and move it down to steps, all right? So she reached out to you. The next step is what? The next step, ideally, would be you respond back and say, hey, I'd love to catch up. I don't know if she's in your same town or if she's across the country. At the very least, be like, hey, I'd love to get on a video chat. If she's in your town, hey, I haven't talked to you in a long time. Let's reconnect and meet up for dinner and then plan out a date accordingly, right? But that's it. Just do that step. Get the communication rolling again. Do not make the mistake, though, of doing what I imagine a lot of guys would do, which is, oh, she contacted me. Now I'm going to become her texting buddy. Let's just text back and forth a bunch. Don't do that. That's not, if on the off chance this could end up potentially being romantic, that's going to kill it. So She reached out and said, it's been a while since we spoke. Say, hey, great. I'd love to catch up with you. Let's do an in-person date. Let's do a video call. Hey, I'm going to be in your town on this date. I'd love to reconnect at that time. At best, you're going to be able to get her in person. At worst, you'll get her on a video chat face-to-face, but you need to have face-to-face time. Don't do these phone calls. Don't do this, whatever. Try to do face-to-face if you can. If she doesn't have a way to video chat, then a phone call will suffice for now, but really see if you can do the in-person as quickly as possible. And then from there, see where the conversation goes. And again, on your end of things, you're not trying to press anything, but if you get to a meeting with her and you find that that flirtatiousness is still there, that's a positive. At some point during the conversation, if the boyfriend is still in the picture, I can assure you most well-to-do ethical women will point out, oh yeah, because women always bring up that they have a boyfriend in such a slick way, but they'll bring it up. Be like, oh yeah, that's just like when me and my boyfriend went to this place. Boom. Now you know she's got a boyfriend, at which point she was just reaching out to reconnect with an old friend who she hasn't seen since high school or college. I've had several women friends in my adult years reach out, hey, Harry, just wanted to see how you were doing. We have such great memories of you, blah, 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 blah. There was one girl back in the day that I wrote a letter to, and in the letter I mentioned like, oh yeah, I really love you for that, blah, 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 blah. And I was just saying it in passing, but at the time I really had strong feelings for her. But she wrote me a few years later, I still got that note you sent me. I just want to see how you're doing, blah, blah, blah. And she was just reaching out just to say what's up. And again, she's married, got 4 kids. So again, you want to find this out, but don't jump to the end conclusion yet. Have a conversation with her, see if she brings up a boyfriend or kids or some other boo in her life. And if she doesn't, if you meet her in person, you can start segueing and say, hey, this is really fun. I'd love to do this again sometime. If you see her in video chat, hey, this has been a real good conversation. You know what? Next time I'm in your town or you're out here, I would love to reconnect for real. So just hit me up. All right. And then leave it at that. And then see where it goes from there. But don't go to the ending yet. Just go to the steps. And this is why it's important as a guy to understand how the logical steps of dating will get you to being able to get what you want. If you're wanting a relationship with this woman, you cannot be the one thinking about a relationship yet. You just think about the step in front of you. As you're doing the steps correctly in front of you, she will be the one that starts thinking about, wow, this former friend of mine, he's so great. And now he's an adult and he's successful and he's doing this and that. Like, oh my gosh, like, did I miss out? Is he still single too? Oh my God, I wonder what that would be. Like, give her the 3 months her brain needs to start thinking about you potentially being in a relationship with her in that capacity, okay? But don't be the one to bring it up. Like right now, you're just trying to give her the conversation, okay? So hopefully, guy, this helps you out. So guys, that is pretty much all I have for today. So thank you guys for checking out this episode of the Introvert Dating Success podcast. If you would like me to help you with your own dating life, I love to help coach you. You can go to introvertdatingsuccess.com. You can click on the coaching tab for a one-on-one phone session. Or if you really want to get into a deep dive of how you can be better showing up in your relationships, to be a more confident guy, and to get the processes that are necessary to actually time and time again be able to get into relationships, then definitely check out the Introvert Dating Success Coaching Program, which you can see at the video for at the website. If you like what you see and you like the stuff on the page, you can set up a sales call with me where we'll talk about your dating needs and how I can best help you. All right. So thank you guys for checking out this episode. I am Harry Wilmington, and I will catch you guys on the next one. I'm out. Peace.
You's a bad boy, but you can't stop, won't stop. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man. You a high class man. You a high class man. You a high earning, high value, high class man.